You'll want to wear your best hiking shoes while exploring proven trails because the trails are natural surfaces. So you may be walking on sand or hard-packed dirt while taking these interconnected trails up and down hills and through valleys. Sound intriguing? Let's go take a look. When you keep your eyes open for things that are unique about your location, you tend to find things that are unique about the location, and here's one of them. So these pine needles have fallen down onto the limbs of another tree. Obviously they're not the same kind, but it gives a unique look to this tree that's trying to grow out, and it has these needles hanging off of it. This is why I like to go out in the early mornings and photograph, because there's this warm glow about the morning sunlight, and when it highlights something, it just kind of beckons you to photograph it. I like to photograph trees because each one of them has their own unique characteristics about them, just like all of us. So if you see this tree behind me, it's one that I'm going to want to photograph because I think it's of interest, especially because of how the light is shining on it. So the thing about trees is you don't always have to get the full tree in your shot, and sometimes you want to get the upper part of it, and sometimes you want to get the lower part of it, or just some limbs. Now in this case, I'm going to want to shoot up really high and get some of these limbs that are highlighted by the sun. And maybe I'm going to stand directly underneath the tree and shoot up so that all you see are limbs. There's all different ways to shoot trees. Proven trails, like many of the parks with natural trails, have trail markings. Usually they're color-coded and they show you what the different trails are, but also try and keep your bearings on your own. If you're like me and you're directionally challenged, sometimes the best scenario is to backtrack because you don't want to get lost in the woods. Talked about photographing trails and pathways, and here's a great one. Shows the light spilling onto the path, and then you also see the roots from trees growing up and creating steps in the path too. Also you have the shadows being cast from the trees and the branches, so it's bringing nature back into the pathway again in two different forms, but it's reminding you of the trees in the setting. Because I shoot mainly in black and white, I always look for things in contrast. So if that's texture, if that's lighting, if that's size or shape. And here's another of my favorite things, old with new. So it just intrigues me how this vine is wrapping itself around this rotting stump of a tree. And you get the grain of the wood coming through, and that's going to contrast sharply with the softness of the leaves and the different textures, and old life with new life. It doesn't matter whether you're taking somebody's portrait or a picture of nature, it's all about perspective. And sometimes your subject of interest is below you, and you need to kneel down to get on the same level as it, rather than standing above it and shooting down. So I can stand here and shoot this photograph from up here, But is that the right perspective? Is it going to show the subject of interest in its best light? Now, if I get lower and shoot from this perspective, I get more light, but maybe I'm missing what's in the shadows. When I'm down here, this shows more of the undergrowth, and you can see around the object a little bit more. And it also gives you a sense of perspective of the subject of interest. It's part of the land. Here's a pine cone that I'd like to take a photograph of because I like how the sun is shining on it and it's casting a little shadow. It's also a detail of the location that I'm in. And you have the needles laying around it, which shows nature again on top of the sandy soil. But if you look carefully, you can also see the footprints of shoes that other hikers have left behind. Something that I don't do is I don't manipulate the area that I'm in. So I'm not going to brush aside those footprints. I'm not going to pick up the pine cone and put it somewhere else that looks better. I shoot things the way that they are. I like the expression that's used a lot in our national parks, that the only thing you take are pictures and memories, and the only thing you leave behind are footprints. So for me, seeing this footprint is fine. It shows that other people are here enjoying nature as it is. But there's also an etiquette about being out here in nature preserves and in nature parks, that you don't want to destroy what you're trying to enjoy. So I like to encourage people to stay on the trails and not wander off into uncharted territory, because you may destroy fragile ecosystems. So in speaking about perspective, here's some tree roots growing out of the ground, and the sun is shining a little bit on them. I like the perspective from shooting straight down. It's got a serpentine look to it, and in black and white it's going to look almost abstract. So again, think about your subject matter and what's the best perspective to shoot it from to get the look that you want. Maybe it's from lower down, maybe it's from directly above. What's going to show your subject of interest the best? When taking pictures, think about leading lines. Leading lines are lines that lead the viewer's eyes somewhere. So where do you want to lead them to? The grass is growing up, the trees are growing up, the shadows of the trees are going to the side. So if I use them correctly, I'm going to be drawing your eyes deeper into the image, and that makes the composition more intriguing. So here's a good experiment. Here's a lone tree, a small tree growing up by itself. And what's the right place to shoot it from? We're just going to circle around it and see. I like that. I like the backlight. Is it over here? If we're telling a story about growing up isolated from the others, what's the best way to show that off? When I shoot like this with the other trees in the background, my tree gets lost because the foliage blends in with that in the background. So I'm always looking for ways to make it stand out. Once again, I'm using backlight to help it stand out against the sand and the surroundings, so you can see the tree and you can see how isolated it is from the other ones. Maybe the story isn't about the entire tree. Maybe it's about these little buds growing up right here with the sun just touching them a little bit. What I like about so many of these natural parks and nature preserves is that many of them are right in the middle of neighborhoods. This allows for easy access to nature, like it's your backyard. And sometimes it's good to just step away from the busyness of life and immerse yourself in a natural setting, where the pace of life is so much slower. It's actually a very healthy thing to do, not only physically but mentally. Groven Trails is located in Grand Rapids Township, part of the Kent County Parks and Trails system. For more information, check out kentcountyparks.org. Thanks for exploring with me. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it and learned something new. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel and getting notified when a new video posts. And I hope to see you out on the trails.